This is a great time to look back on the past few years of the video games industry for multiple reasons. Not only is the current console generation coming to an end, but so too is the current decade, and you only need to reminisce for a little while to realize that it's been an eventful few years. There have been countless excellent games released over the past decade, with games that have defined genres, games that have changed genres, or even some games that have created genres. Looking back on the past 10 years and trying to make a list of what we feel were the 30 best games is thus a herculean task, but it's one that we're going to undertake nonetheless. In this two-part feature, we'll be listing out our 30 favorite games from the beginning of 2010 to the end of 2019, counting down from number 30 right down to what we feel is the game of the decade. Number 30, Forza Horizon 4. Though Forza Horizon started off as a spin-off to the flagship Forza Motorsport franchise, as Playground Games and Microsoft put out more and more of these spin-offs, they started hogging more and more of the spotlight. With Forza Horizon 4, they may very well have delivered not only the best Forza game to date, but also what is probably one of the greatest racing games of all time. Thanks to excellent driving, a deluge of diverse and enjoyable content, an incredible open world, an ingenious seasons mechanic, and a wide selection of vehicles to choose from. This is a game that simply cannot be praised enough. Number 29, Celeste. There's usually some level of dissonance between gameplay and story in every game, and developers often find it hard to blend the two in an organic way. Celeste is a rare example of a game that does just that. Madeline's journey to reach the top of the mountain and the personal growth she goes through throughout this journey makes for some truly compelling storytelling, while on the gameplay front, Celeste is probably one of the greatest platformers ever created. Not only is it mechanically sound, it also boasts some incredible level design, while also offering a sizable amount of consistently enjoyable content. It's yet another game that shows just how far the indie scene has come along in our industry in the last few years. Number 28, Journey. Journey took us all by surprise when it first launched back on the PS3, because none of us really expected it to be nearly as good as it turned out to be. This is a game that masterfully accomplishes everything it sets out to do. It takes you on a journey across a world that is hauntingly beautiful, while the experience of playing through it with a stranger is oddly moving and affecting. The simplest of movements in Journey are oddly hypnotic, and the entire experience is propped up even further by some truly excellent music and audio design. One of the easiest ways one can measure the success of this game is to look at how many similar experiences it inspired in subsequent years, and if that's the metric we're going with, then Journey's excellence and its successes are, simply put, indisputable. Number 27, Telltale's The Walking Dead Season 1. Of all the games to come out in 2012, Telltale's graphic adventure adaptation of Robert Kirkman's The Walking Dead universe was the one that stood out to us the most, which is surprising because licensed properties are rarely good, let alone this memorable. But the way Telltale adapted the grim and dangerous world of the graphic novels and put their own unique twist on it with incredibly written and developed characters and masterful storytelling deserves all the praise in the world. It rightfully shot them into the stratosphere, and even though things for the studio may have ended badly, it's undeniable that The Walking Dead's first season had a lasting impact on the industry as a whole, in more ways than one. Number 26, Mario Kart 8. Nintendo's Mario Kart series has always been a poster boy for chaotic, mindless fun, and with its 8th installment, the series reached its zenith. Polished beyond belief, ridiculously fun to play, and playing host to some of the best and most imaginative track design you'll ever see in a racing game. Mario Kart 8 is a benchmark that all arcade racers should aspire to. Though the game was somewhat lacking in content when it first came out on the Wii U in 2014, Nintendo's excellent post-launch support for it turned it into a game brimming with excellent tracks and characters. As such, it's no surprise that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which brings all that content together in a single package, is one of the best games available on the Nintendo Switch. Number 25, Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. The rabid Metal Gear fanbase has a complicated relationship with Hideo Kojima's final contribution to the series. Veteran series fans have always been unable to deny the core mechanical strengths of The Phantom Pain, but still can't help but be discontented with how different it was from its predecessors. But though the game's unfinished state and its lack of a focus on storytelling are definitely things that bring the quality down for its overall experience, the sheer genius of its emergent, systems-driven open-world gameplay and its incredible stealth mechanics make sure that it's still, at the very least, a masterpiece of game design. That The Phantom Pain is still one of the best games of this generation in spite of its numerous and very obvious flaws should tell you something about how good its positive aspects are. Number 24. Portal 2. When Valve is firing on all cylinders, it has no peers in the industry, and the genius of Portal 2 is evidence of that statement. Taking the excellent puzzle-solving mechanics of the first game, Portal 2 expanded upon them in incredible ways in what was, in no vague terms, a masterclass in how to make a puzzle game. On top of that, the game was brimming with personality, with an excellent narrative, constantly witty and hilarious writing, memorable characters, and even an excellent co-op mode that was just as much a blast to go through as the single-player campaign was. Like all things Valve, Portal apparently doesn't know how to count to 3, but we're hoping that changes soon because Portal 2 was an absolute gem, and not a single person in this world would say no to more of what it had on offer. Number 23. Undertale. If ever there was a game that could prove that a single person with crazy ideas, big ambitions, and a heck of a lot of talent can produce games that can outmatch even the biggest of blockbusters, Undertale would be it. Toby Fox's whimsical and bizarre creation is nothing short of a work of genius, boasting some of the best storytelling, writing, and music you'll ever find in a game. Add to that the game's excellent combat mechanics, its thematic consistency, and one of the most iconic characters we've seen in a game this side of 2010, we are, of course, talking about Sans, and what you get is a unique, memorable, and unmissable experience. Number 22. Horizon Zero Dawn. Even now, it's a little hard to fathom just how good Horizon Zero Dawn turned out to be, especially when you consider the context surrounding it. After spending a decade working on linear first-person shooters defined by hues of dull grays and browns that weren't necessarily known for their storytelling, Guerrilla Games took a leap of faith and put out an open-world, story-driven RPG, and impossibly enough, they absolutely knocked it out of the park. Horizon is beautiful to look at. Its setting is vivid and strikingly beautiful. Its narrative is grand in scope and immaculate in its execution, and it plays host to an excellent combat system that, thanks to incredible and varied enemy design, never fails to be thrilling. On their first attempt, Guerrilla managed to make an open-world RPG with a level of confidence that suggested they'd been doing it for years, and for that, they deserve all the praise and recognition in the world. Number 21. Batman: Arkham City. Rocksteady took the entire industry by surprise when they made Batman: Arkham Asylum, which wasn't just good for a superhero game, but was just a great game, period. Following up on it must have been a daunting task, but it was one the developer took on with supreme confidence. The result, Arkham City, was one of the best games of the 7th console generation, taking the strong combat of its predecessor and mixing it with excellent open-world traversal. Arkham City delivered a game that was a dream come true for Batman fans. It nailed everything one looks for in a Batman experience, from the atmosphere and the visual aesthetic to the story and its cast of characters, not to mention the excellent performances turned in by Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as the Batman and Joker respectively. It was a crowning achievement for Rocksteady, and to this day stands as a benchmark for superhero games to aspire to. Number 20. Uncharted 4: A Thief's End. Uncharted is by no means gone forever. Sony would be foolish to let one of their biggest cash cows go dormant. But though Uncharted 4: A Thief's End wasn't the ending, it was still an ending, with series protagonist Nathan Drake signing off after one last hurrah. And really, we couldn't have asked for a better send-off for him. Uncharted 4 is a perfect evolution of everything the Uncharted series stands for. Its action is thrilling and tight, its set-piece moments are unforgettable spectacles, its characters are lovable and their interactions heartwarming, and it's got a story that displays a level of maturity that the series had been in need of for some time, but still doesn't ever take itself too seriously. It's also a visual treat, boasting some of the most impressive graphics we've ever seen in a video game, while it also continues the tradition of motion and performance capture getting better with each new Naughty Dog game. Uncharted 4 may have gone through an infamously troubled development cycle, but like the champions they are, Naughty Dog managed to turn things around in spectacular fashion to deliver what is probably the best game in the series. Number 19. Grand Theft Auto 5. 6 years after their launch, games aren't usually an active and prominent part of the zeitgeist as much as they are somewhat hazy memories. But Grand Theft Auto 5 is a game that just refuses to go away, enjoying the sort of sales and player engagement that even games that came out mere months ago might not be enjoying. And it's not hard to see why the game has had such enduring success, because it represents Rockstar in top form. It's GTA to the extreme, chaotic, bombastic, overflowing with mechanical and systemic depth, and covered in a shining coat of polish, all of which applies in equal measure to both its equally sizable single-player campaign and online components. It is, in essence, the very definition of value for money. Number 18. Marvel's Spider-Man. Insomniac have made some truly excellent games over the years, from Spyro to Ratchet and Clank, from Resistance to Sunset Overdrive. So when we say that Spider-Man is their best work ever, that praise isn't given lightly, but it is praise that needs to be doled out nonetheless. Marvel's Spider-Man is a love letter to the iconic wall crawler, and every second of this game is dripping with immense love and devotion for the character and the property, making it a true treat for Spidey fans. Best of all is the incredible web slinging, which is probably the greatest traversal mechanic we've seen in a game in years, while the combat too is fast, fluid, action-packed, and a ton of fun. To top it all off, the game tells what is probably one of the best Spider-Man stories ever across all media, propped up by excellent writing and acting performances. All of it comes together in what is arguably the greatest superhero game of all time. Number 17. Red Dead Redemption. Rockstar Games became industry legends with the Grand Theft Auto franchise, but Red Dead Redemption is probably one of their finest achievements ever, which is saying a lot. In true Rockstar fashion, it features a masterfully crafted open world that is vast and always a joy to explore and mess around in, but it also carves out a very strong and distinct identity for itself with its atmosphere, its much more grounded story and storytelling, and an excellent cast of characters. Branching out from things that have been consistently and comfortably successful for years is never an easy thing for a developer to do, but that's exactly what Rockstar did, and they deserve all the praise in the world for doing it in such convincing and spectacular fashion. Number 16. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. No franchise represents the genius of Nintendo as well as Super Smash Bros., and as the culmination of everything Smash has ever been about, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate is a game you can't help but admire. A celebration not only of Nintendo, but video games as a whole. Super Smash Bros. Ultimate represents Masahiro Sakurai at his craziest, most ambitious best. The game's name rings resoundingly true, because it really does feel like the ultimate game, as it brings together every character that has ever been in the series, and represents a ridiculous number of first and third party franchises with sincere love and respect. On top of all that, it also makes a number of small yet smart changes to the mechanical side of things, making for a much more enjoyable and balanced fighting experience than its recent predecessors. It's hard to fathom how Nintendo and Sakurai could ever top what they've done with Smash Ultimate, but that's a problem for the future. In the here and now, we're just glad a game game as insane and good as this one even exists. And that about does it for this video. If you enjoyed what you watched and want to see more from GamingBolt, please hit the subscribe button. Also, don't forget to switch on the notifications bell icon next to it. That way you'll never miss any of our videos. Thanks for watching.